toll you'll ever pay.
Oh, man. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the appropriate ages, it is now time for the least mediocre of all the mediocre sports talk shows in the Mid-South. It's time for the Eye on Sports with B-Ball Jones. Every weekday morning at 8 o'clock, right here on AM 730. Here we go.
Here we go.
I feel contaminated just by touching this Tennessee mini helmet.
I know the feeling. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Eye on Sports, Ira Lipsy here with B-Ball Jones, Jay Brenner, Mark Kaplan, the true guru behind the glass, on AM 1600 every weekday morning at 8 o'clock, and on YouTube streaming live. You can find that on WMQM 1600 Memphis if you search on YouTube. You can hear my voice a little under the weather.
What's the matter, Ira?
I just got a little cold going, but I'm okay.
You taking anything? Robitussin?
Yeah,
NyQuil?
mixing a little Tussin.
Jack Daniels?
It's a combination I came up with years ago. It's a little combination concoction. Half a shot of Tussin, half a shot of Jack, a couple of ounces of Pepto into a citrus flavored Alka-Seltzer. It's like a shooter. Whew, man,
You should patent that.
he'll mop you right up. Nah, I got some stuff I'm taking. Last night, we got plenty of stuff to talk about, including the Tigers game last night. And the Tigers game last night.
Okay, first of all, roll call. Mark, were you at the FedEx Forum?
Oh, I was there.
Ira?
Negatory.
Board meeting?
No, just illness.
Illness. All right, well, why don't you go ahead and move your chair over to the left a little bit while we get into...
It shouldn't be contagiory.
Look, my child has been sick,
Yeah,
the youngest one.
you're bound to get sick.
Sneezes right into my mouth, so
course.
if I don't have...
I probably got it from you in the first
You
place.
might have. Is your stool red?
No, God forbid.
I was just kidding.
God, that's gross.
So you weren't there. Mark, was there joy in the building?
I haven't seen joy like that in a long time, Jay.
You feel joy and see it.
Honestly, the crowd excitement is probably one of the best games of the season besides the Tennessee game.
I will tell you on the television, it looked not to be a huge crowd, but a very lively crowd.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot up on the upper deck, but on the telly, I'm not sure how it looked. So
Yeah, it looked like the sides were full. The end zones were a little, even in the lower level, not necessarily full, but a loud crowd that made a difference when Memphis was making their late run. And just in case anybody doesn't know, the Tigers did defeat Temple last night at FedEx Forum for their 10th conference win of the year. I think the final margin was maybe 12?
8.
8? Oh, that's right. That's right. They hit a late shot, but
We still covered,
85,
despite Isaiah Maurice's
77
best
maybe?
efforts.
Isaiah Maurice had a couple decent plays. I know you were on him last night. But another strong performance from senior guard Jeremiah Martin.
Dude's on fire. Of course, if you're watching it on TV, you were reminded every 32 seconds of his 30-point average during the month of February.
Those announcers, by the way, for ESPN, never heard of them. I liked them, though.
I did not like him.
Who were those guys?
I didn't like the play-by-play guy. His name was somebody, Maritol, something. I don't know. I didn't like him. The color commentator, Mark Adams. I looked him up because they're talking about him being a coach.
He's on fire.
Nice. He was the coach of Central Connecticut State for a couple of years in the 90s.
Yeah, they mentioned that. Excuse you.
Pardon. Yeah, so he was okay. The other guy was like everything that the Mark Adams guy would say, the other guy would like turn it around into some self-deprecating joke Like Mark Adams goes,
he couldn't guard me.
Mark Adams goes, oh yeah, he scored 3,600 points in high school. That's 3,600 more points than me. like, dude, no one cares about your high school career. You're a commentator. You're not a player. Jeremiah Martin's averaging 30 points a game, and he's playing great defense. Yeah, we wouldn't even need to play great defense on me. I'm terrible. Like, dude, enough. Dude, you're not even funny.
I liked him. They were into it.
He was okay, but he was like, that was. I mean, I just had enough of those comments. It was wearing me out. But
that's why we get the U announcers, not the main guys.
Well, that's true.
That's ESPNU for anyone that doesn't know what Mark's talking about. By the way,
did you see that why they were on the ESPN News for half the game?
Yeah, because the West Virginia TCU game went
over
3 OTs. So I had it on my phone in the meantime. I was like, while this is waiting out, I'll go do some dishes and watch on my phone. I couldn't actually put it on until halftime.
Huh.
I mean, I actually got it on ESPN3. I didn't know it was on news.
Yeah.
They do a good job now of, moving stuff around.
That is true. They do.
You can get it. But great game. Another, as I said, great game from Martin. Davenport.
Because who really wants to watch an episode of Jalen and Jacoby?
Precisely. Nobody. Davenport, 12 points, 4 rebounds. Another strong game, I think,
Which
all
we
around.
could talk about the whole Davenport thing a little bit.
Yeah, with Penny yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Rainier Thornton, another strong effort. Really good effort.
It's funny because towards the beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying how much of the Tubby four, Thornton was the guy they liked the least, and he's really become the most consistent player.
He hustles. He gets offensive rebounds, and he comes from nowhere to grab rebounds and stuff.
He plays hard.
He plays very hard. Ira's boy, Antoine Jones, reemerges. Started the second half, and I think they'll do that going forward if they can. I think they'll insert him back into the starting lineup for Parks and just play small. Because Parks, no offense to the big guy, I like him. He's not giving you much.
Look what he did last night.
4 points, 5 rebounds.
In how many minutes?
11 minutes.
That's pretty efficient.
He missed a lot of bunnies.
He missed 4 layups.
He missed a few layups. I don't disagree.
Missed some layups. And so, anyway, strong effort, though. Look, they were down 5 at half. Came out, as the announcer pointed out, made that adjustment. Penny made the adjustment, put Jones into the lineup, had some plays drawn up. What I liked was at the end of the game, the announcer went into the huddle, and he said, look, they're going to feature Kevin Davenport coming out of this huddle for the next couple plays. And it was true. They did. He hit a 3, he got a layup, a runner to the basket, and that was the run that kind of put him over the top. So, just an enjoyable experience.
Wearing the Memphis State jerseys again. Surprised?
Loved him. Little surprised.
Yeah.
Tyler Harris, worst game of the season for him. Easily worst game of the season. There was back-to-back pick sixes.
Pick 6.
Yeah, that's what I call when you strip the ball from someone again easily.
Well, it was 6. I mean, I was sitting there, and I turned to Carly and I said, what the hell just happened? It was tied. We're down 6.
Yeah.
You blink it, you're down 6.
But it was just he looked outmatched. His man every time was getting to the hole, was getting offensive rebounds. He literally did not belong on the court yesterday. And that was the first time I think, it's different when your shot's not falling. I just we were watching the game, why is Penny leaving Tyler Harris out there? He does not deserve to be on the court.
The only thing I'll say in his defense is when he's out there, the pace goes from fast to even faster. He does. Now, last night it was to our detriment because it was, fast coming out of his hands going down the floor. But he does add a different dynamic. You have to know where he is at all times, and he can move pretty fast. So, yeah, but you're right, not a good game. On the flip side, Lomax, I thought, did add some toughness.
He's learning how to be a steadying effect.
Yeah. I like where I think they're going to be with those two next year. I know I've gone back and forth. Look, we said a couple weeks ago the team had really kind of not gotten better. They had plateaued, if you will. But that there was still time. Yeah. And over the last 2 weeks, you've now seen them turn it back around, and I think they're at the momentum level that they were when they beat Central Florida 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whenever it was. And so now they have an opportunity on the road against a ranked team on Saturday to really push this thing to another level. Ira, what do you think the spread will be in that game?
That's the next game?
That's the next game.
Natty.
There's only 2 games. The reason they had a game in hand, as you said, is Memphis is probably, along with Tulsa, the only team that has a bye week in the final week, which I don't like. I think you want to be in rhythm headed into the tournament, but what do I know?
So all we have left is Cincinnati and
Tulsa
Tulsa.
and Senior Day.
I would say the spread at the Cincinnati game would be Memphis is going to be a 4.5 to 6.5 point dog.
I think that's about right. Hopefully they can go up there and be competitive. Memphis's net rating
62
has moved up to 53. 53, folks, 53. Yeah. And Derby and friends.
Huh. All right, well, that's not a bad net.
That's not a bad net. They're in prime NIT position. And hey, if they go up, why do I keep saying that? If they go up to Cincinnati and pull off the win, Mark, are they on Joe Lunardi's bubble?
Yes, last 4 out.
I think the worst thing that could happen, one of the worst things that could happen is they end up on the bubble.
That's great. Even though they're not going, we all know they're not going.
That's the point.
But it's still great. No, if they could even be in the conversation.
Here's the way I see it.
I say next 4 out.
And
Go ahead.
it's maybe my, you know what a pessimist is, right?
An optimist with experience or something?
Exactly. That's right. So here's the way I envision it. You go to Natty, you pull off some upset, you're on the bubble.
Then you come home to lose to Tulsa.
You squeak by Tulsa, you get by Tulsa, and then you get beaten in the first round of the tournament.
I'd take it.
So that's the thing. If you beat Cincinnati, beat Tulsa, let's say you go to the semis and lose to a team like Houston, are you in the NCAA tournament?
No.
Well, it depends on what everyone else does. But just to kind of show you here, on Joe Lunardi's current last 4 in, or let's say last 4 in.
Temple was one of
Temple, yeah. Seton Hall's net, just for you at home, is lower than Memphis's.
Yeah. Okay.
By pretty significant margin, actually. They're 64th. Memphis is, 53. So Memphis is in that group now. They just they probably don't have the resume if you put it up side to side. UCF has a bye on this thing. So, Memphis is in that. I agree with Mark. I think you put them, if they beat Cincinnati, then they're back in the bubble conversation.
One thing, we haven't had really a bad loss. You can look at the Oak State loss, but back in the time, that wasn't a bad loss.
True.
So that's one thing is,
Things don't get judged like that, though. They don't judge them at the time. That team stinks, so it was probably a pretty bad loss. But I hear you. It didn't seem bad at the time.
Right. I don't think there's a loss where it's like, how could they have lost to this team? But then again, we don't really have any huge wins either.
That's right.
That's true.
The best wins are the 3 we've already we didn't talk about. At Wichita State as a true road win in a tough environment, at home against Central Florida and home against Temple. Those are your best wins. So,
yeah, I agree with that. I see that the Grizzlies are playing the Bulls tonight.
Again? Didn't they just play them? Maybe not.
No, not that I know of.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
So I was looking at the Bulls roster, and I was like, I felt like I was watching Major League like I was this morning.
Who the hell are these guys?
They guys like Ricky Vaughn, Willie Hayes, Mitchell Friedman.
Right. This guy's dead.
We'll cross him off then.
Right.
I mean, it was like who? I mean, literally, Mark, you follow some of these things closer than the rest of us because of your fantasy acumen. Wendell Carter Jr. He's out with a thumb surgery. Was he having a good season? Did he do anything this year?
Who?
He's a rookie, right?
Who?
Wendell Carter.
It's
Jr.
a dude.
I thought you said Del Carter. I was like, what?
Not Nell Carter. Not Nell Carter from Give Me a Break, or Del Curry.
No,
Wendell Carter Jr.
He was actually doing pretty well. He was first half of the season was actually looking better than a guy like Bagley or somebody like that. You talk about they don't have anybody. Zach LaVine's still a great scorer. Lauri Markkanen, he's been awesome last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, but they still got less wins than the Grizzlies too.
Right, but I'm saying they have a couple guys that are talented. They also have a couple I've never heard of their point guards before.
They got Shaq Harrison.
Right, and they had RC.
Wait, Shaq Harrison from Tulsa?
Yep.
He's in the league?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Playing for the Bulls is kind of debatable if you're really in the league.
And they just picked up Otto Porter Jr.
Oh, yeah, they traded for Otto Porter. So, they have 3 decent guys. Robin Lopez is starting to get some more run. Sideshow Bob is what we call him in the industry. So, he's doing pretty well.
For those of you who don't know, Mark used to be a official fantasy basketball writer for
FantasyAlarm.com.
FantasyAlarm.com. Is that website still in existence?
It sure is. They're rocking and rolling.
You keep in touch with those guys?
The guys that moved to another website, I keep in touch with them.
I used to write for a website called 5alarmchili.com. It's a chili enthusiast website.
What about Dom Murtha? Mark, you keep in touch with them. Anyway, your Memphis Grizzlies sit at 24-38, winners of 1 in a row over the Lakers. I watched that game, by the way.
I watched some of it.
How bad did LeBron look?
He didn't look good. He didn't look happy. He did not look happy. Brandon Ingram is a weird-looking dude. He's just got a weird.
I don't like his hair either.
I don't mean his that's his body, his shoulders are incredibly. He's lean. He's a lean guy. Somebody back me up on this.
You want to be fat?
No, he's just. I don't know.
Objection! Extremely racist.
How is it racist to say the guy's lean?
It was more about the hair.
I didn't. Well, thank you. That was Ira's comment.
No, it wasn't about it. Okay. I don't like the style. He's got this part, and it looks like one. It's like one giant separate cornrow.
Okay, Don Imus,
just
settle
weird.
down.
It's just weird. I didn't say they were nappy looking. Don Imus called the Rutgers women's team nappy-headed hoes. That was a little bit different than what I just said.
And he lost his job because of it, didn't he?
Not really he lost his job.
So.
No. But
He lost some advertisers.
Is that the beginning of the PC era? Is that when it officially hit?
Probably. That was the beginning of the end. It had already started, but
The end of the beginning.
yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, it's hard to tell what the Grizzlies are trying to do. I guess they're trying to win. Who knows? Hard to say. But they'll be playing one way or another. There's a game to watch. And we'll have another segment, at least one, on AM 730, AM 1600, TheIonSports.com, YouTube Live, and many, many other outlets in Japan and so forth. So we will be right back.
Don't buy wigs that come off at the wrong time. Maury's wigs don't come off, even underwater. And remember, Maury's wigs are tested against hurricane winds. Don't forget about money. You can afford a Maury wig. Prices fit every budget. So call me now. And come in for a personal.
Rich white folk.
I have a very honest golf instructor. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. My instructor is Marty Fulton, a PGA Life member whom you may remember from Plantation, Whispering Woods, or Holiday Golf Club. When I asked him what I might do to improve my game, Marty, what did you tell me?
Sheldon, I told you to get your clubs together, put them in your car, then take them to the nearest lake and toss them in.
Great, Marty. You're a big help.
You know what's
Sheldon,
worse?
you're far better at selling homes than you'll ever be at golf. That's why people often say when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
Thanks, Marty. And if you or someone you know is thinking about selling their home, you should talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out the difference in what they do in my highly successful strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option. You or they can reach me at 682-1868 or MemphisRelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten at 682-1868 or MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now.
It feels like to live on the other side, but I shouldn't have to sugarcoat what I say because
People's money.
I live one way and not the other way.
He's a pickpocket. His take
You're right, I don't have-
$700.
There's also a lot of
It's dangerous to carry cash. Gary, American Express travel
random
checks.
journalists
If they're lost or stolen, you can get them back.
would be proponents for a certain segment of society,
Don't leave home without them.
but they didn't.
Hi there. Are you a large person?
Like the same,
Pleasantly plump? A little on the hefty side, perhaps? Well,
the
let's
same
face it.
situation.
Are you fat?
Like
When you
great
go
help.
jogging, you leave potholes? When you make love, do you have to give directions? At the zoo, do elephants throw you peanuts?
Are you here the whole
look at
show,
menu and
Mark?
Say, okay. Well, now you
Okay,
can eat
good.
all you want.
Because I'm
Because
gonna
at
have to duck
Rocky
out a
Mountain's
little
tall and fat stores, we've
I gotta
got
go
you
down the
covered.
court.
That's right. Fine woolen. And woolen blends
Yes.
And I don't know the rules of the road down there yet. It's in the car.
Husky. Stop. Extra
I mean,
stop. And
used
the
to
new
be
Hitler
wagon
line.
walking at
And for
night.
you ladies, we have half pants, hoo-hoos, and our own exclusive A-frame in all colors and patterns. Yes, we have miles and miles of fabric. So take it from me, Fort Mellon. If you want to look thin,
and
you hang out with fat
So
people.
instead of City Corp, which
Gordon Mellon's Tall and Fat. Location in Ross America.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
if that dress had cotton, she'd look like a pool table. You should try my tall and fat stores. No offense.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ion Sports with B-Ball Jones, the True Guru producing, and it is a beautiful Wednesday morning in the Bluff City. Second segment. We got to get in a little bit here. We talked about the Tigers' win over Wichita State. Now we need to talk about Penny Watch. Penny Hardaway, as usual, making headlines across the region yesterday. One, we've already talked about privately off air, was regarding his comments about Kevin Davenport, senior forward.
Give credit where the credit's due.
Credit where credit's due. Mark Kaplan sent me the tweet from
That's what I'll make.
some other guy.
Peter Edmiston.
Peter Edmiston, who
Sports
asked
56.
Sports 56, asked a question, transcribed the answer from Penny Hardaway. And the question was about Davenport in some respect. You know, what do you got to do to get him going more? Hardaway has been consistent over the last few weeks that he believes Antoine Jones and Kevin Davenport are the keys to this team, you know, achieving their goals, whatever those are. You know, winning the conference tournament, going to the NCAA tournament, etc. And I think that's a pretty astute assessment by the rookie coach. These are guys with tremendous athletic ability, and if he can get them kind of bought into the key team concept and rowing in the right direction, then he's probably right. That would be the key. So they asked him yesterday, you know, what do you have to do? I don't know exactly what the question was, but from context you can assume it's, what do you have to do to get Kevin Davenport going? And his answer was very telling. We could pull it up, but it was, to paraphrase, he said, look, this guy doesn't love basketball. He's not locked in. We got to tell him stuff over and over again. He's asking us questions, the answers which we gave him months ago. And he's just not that into it. And you could read that a couple different ways, and I think everybody did. On the one hand, it's a refreshing level of honesty and candor from your coach. It's not coach speak. It's not, well, we love Kevin, he's a good kid, we're going to get it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so you like that. And on the other hand, and you like that he's even thinking about it and that he's trying to motivate his kids. On the other hand, you think, God, did he just throw this kid under the bus? Like big time? Like Boeheim style? Right under the bus, Ira?
Yeah, it's a little soon for that.
Too soon? Oh, I figured it wasn't too soon because we did it like
I know.
10 seconds
I'm
after.
kidding. No, it's funny.
So those were the two takes, and I guess I come down. The proof will be in the pudding. If Kevin Davenport responds, and last night it looked like he might have a little bit, although I don't think you're going to get much different out of him, then maybe I don't mind it. So where do you guys come down on it?
Mark, you can go ahead.
I love every single thing that Hardaway said. I see 0% wrong with it. We always sit there and say, the coach speak, they need to be more honest, and Hardaway was bluntly honest, and now it's, he was too honest. Look, you know, I was listening to Gary Parrish talk about it, and he's right. If you're around the kid for 5 minutes, you know he doesn't like basketball. They want us to watch cartoons. Anyone's like, it's going to hurt his NBA chances. this guy's not going to the NBA.
He ain't going to the NBA.
No. And if he's going to play in Europe or in China, do you think they care what Penny Hardaway has to say? No. At the same time, if a coach called and said, Penny, we're interested in signing Davenport, what do you think? He's going to say that. Like, my thing is he's not telling any of us or the people that were close to the team that they didn't know. It was just more the public that we didn't know, that everybody else knew around the program what was true about him, that he doesn't care about basketball, that he likes other things, and there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. I find nearly zero wrong.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The only issue that I have, and I am appreciative that we don't have to sit there and say, you know, that Hardaway is subjecting us to boring coach speak. My only issue is this. Kevin Davenport, whether you like it or not, is a student athlete. And he may be legally an adult, but he's a kid. So in the same respect that he's telling you the truth about a guy who you have seen inconsistent play from, and you know he's telling you that this is not a guy who's a basketball junkie to the bus. If he would have said, if Coach Hardaway would have said something to the effect of, he's not a basketball junkie, he doesn't love basketball, regardless of all, he could have said all the same stuff and then thrown this in. It's our responsibility, it's our job as the coaches to figure out a way to keep him motivated and motivate him and teach him, despite the fact that he's not a basketball junkie, despite the fact that he doesn't really care about basketball, and that he only plays because he's good and he got him a scholarship. And it's also our responsibility to make sure that because he's in school, because he was good enough to play basketball, he's going to obtain a degree. You know, something to that effect would have helped me digest his comments a little better. Oh, don't get me wrong. I
feel like he did say that without saying that.
Well, but I'm saying he's got to say that. And if you're going to be that, if you're going to be as candid as you are regarding the kid's attitude, then you might as well, even if it's not true, even if what Penny Hardaway, even what I just said, if he would have said it and it's not true, he still has to say it so it doesn't appear that because some people are going to misconstrue it and say, well, any game that we play, that Davenport seems out of it and he's not good, and if we lose, then that's an automatically saying it's his fault because he doesn't like basketball.
Yeah, I'm with Ira on this, and I do want to add, because we got a text in from Mrs. B-Ball Jones.
Uh-oh, Mrs. Jones.
Very anti-Davenport when we're watching games. I mean, this is long before Penny came out and said this. And I have to say a couple things. First of all, dating back to last year, you remember friend of the show, Mark Giannotto, told us off the record, and I can say it now because he's on the record yesterday, saying if Tubby had stayed, Davenport was probably going to leave because Tubby was so frustrated with him for these very issues that he rode his ace consistently that the guy was going to leave. So the fact that Tubby left was probably the whole reason Davenport is still here because of these same issues.
Let me say one thing about that with that point so I don't forget. Which is weird because they also said, Penny said that Tubby let Davenport play the way he wanted to play.
Yeah, that part of
kind
the
of a
quote,
weird, yeah.
That part of the quote, I don't know what Penny was really driving at. He said, look, he came here to play for Coach Smith, and so whatever. But the point is that wasn't going to work out either.
I get that. Well, I mean, what if, Hardaway and all them are wanting to watch tape or wanting to do stuff more physical or harder than what Tubby was doing? And he was saying, hey, when Tubby was here, he didn't have to necessarily watch tape.
The point is I don't think that's true. The point is Tubby was just as frustrated in riding him. It's not that he didn't have to. It's that he didn't want to. So, who knows what they force him to do. You've got to show up, you show up. But it was the same frustration with that staff. And let's face it, Tubby didn't recruit Davenport. Joe Esposito recruited Davenport. Joe Esposito probably introduced Davenport to Tubby Smith the day he was going to sign his papers. And I may be exaggerating, but my point is, golly, Ira, somebody get a doctor over here.
It's just a cough, bro.
So I would basically, I agree with Ira. I think you probably could do that a little bit better than you did, but it's fine. It's not a big issue with me. And, I just, watching Penny on the sidelines, and I've got one more Penny thing I want to talk about, but I'll just say that watching him on the sidelines, and again, winning changes everything. He really looked in control last night, and I just stay optimistic as they win. I said 3 weeks ago they weren't improving, but they had the chance to. Now they are, and I hope they can continue to do it. The other Penny Hardaway story that I wanted to touch on briefly is one that I find to be kind of absurd. We all know the Lakers were in town the other night, so LeBron James is in town. He's answering questions from local media. They ask him about Penny, okay, just to get a soundbite, which is fine. I guess I don't have a problem with that. And LeBron says what? Did anyone else see this?
Jordan was the guy that I loved, but Penny was the guy who I wanted to play like.
Right, which is kind of cool, right? So that's fine. He asked the question. Penny was the guy I want to play like. So it becomes a talking point during the game last night, and it became an article at the Daily Memphian, which I went.
There's a shocker.
Right. So I went to seek it out because it was billed and tweeted out as Penny or LeBron's doing something for the Memphis program. So I thought, what? Did he stop by practice? Did he give him some shoes? Did he donate money? Whatever. Okay, but all he did was say that quote, which is fine. So there's an article out at Daily Memphian, and here's a paragraph that I can't believe this made it into print. I'm going to read it. It's halfway down the article. A little more than halfway down. Quote from LeBron: I think it's great for the city that Penny is back here along with my very, very dear and good friend Mike Miller. It's always great to see someone you looked up to growing up. Then this paragraph comes in. You ready? The possibility of bringing in James, that's LeBron James, as an assistant is no doubt something Hardaway would consider, even though it's somewhat of an unrealistic thought.
Somewhat.
Considering the high-profile nature of James. I read this.
Who wrote that?
Last night. I'll tell you in a minute. I read this last night, and I thought to myself, is this like an elementary school newspaper? Is this who wrote, I thought what Ira said. Who wrote this? But I knew who wrote it.
Guys, even though it's unrealistic, LeBron James is going to get traded to the Memphis Grizzlies over the offseason. It might be unrealistic.
No. I want to focus on the slightly even less realistic idea that LeBron James is going to be an assistant coach
on a college team.
For a college team.
Why would he want to coach in college? He could buy an NBA team.
I mean, it's ridiculous to even think it. Much more ridiculous to ask about it.
Tell me who wrote it.
Jonah Jordan wrote it.
Dude, I know you've had your issues with Jonah Jordan in the past. It's time to reignite the fire. Get back on Twitter, Jay.
And light him up for that?
Dude, that is ridiculous.
That's exactly why I'm not on Twitter anymore. Because I would not have been able to resist lighting him up for that.
See what we've done.
So instead, I'm coming on the radio and lighting him up.
We've grown him up a little bit. My little boy's all grown up. He's all grown up.
But we're on the radio lighting him up.
That's different.
It's different.
It's a big difference.
It's different. Nobody's listening.
Yeah. No, Jonah, you want to call the show? 452-3094.
That's right.
It's our form. That's your form. Those are words.
That's Billy Joel. We didn't start the fire, Ira.
Is it? Yeah. No, I thought it was the training montage from Rocky IV.
Never insult the training montage from Rocky IV.
Dude, that montage was fantastic.
We Didn't Start the Fire is a great song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Ira, do you know in Rocky IV, like 30% of the movie is just music from one scene to the next? When as soon as Adrian says you can't win, and he leaves and he gets in his sports car and drives around Philly to the...
There's no easy way out.
Thank you for getting me started.
Robert Tepper.
Right. It went from no easy way out straight into...
There's no shortcut home.
Right. Straight into getting off the plane.
In Siberia.
Yeah, in Russia.
Thank you for coming to Mother Russia.
East versus West, man against man.
These will be your escorts while you're here.
Straight into the training scene. So it's like 15, 20 minutes straight of montage, which is all I need.
Yeah, it's a great montage.
I got to tell you, you reminded me of a story I was going to tell you. So I was looking at the Oscar winners list, and there was a guy named Richard E. Grant. I think it was Richard E. Grant that won an Oscar for something. And I was about to come on here and tell you about how, what's his name from Rocky V? The Don King character.
Oh, right.
Kane, whatever, Citizen Kane.
No, Union Kane was the fighter.
Union Kane was a fighter.
The champ. That was.
What was the guy's name? Do you remember?
Yeah, George Duke. The Duke.
The Duke. I was going to come on here and be like, "Hey, man, did you see the Duke won an Oscar for whatever?" Because I just saw the name. That's his name. Because he didn't go by Richard E. Grant.
Let's face it. If he didn't win an Oscar for Big Lebowski playing police officer number 2,
I think he was number 2 or number 1.
Might have been number 1.
Don't forget the Credence.
Looks like we can close the book on that one.
I know. What's it with cop number 1?
I think he was lighting the loafers.
Or he just sounded like it. He was funny then. He's like, oh, yeah, let's hope we can close the case on that one.
Separate cases. What was in the briefcase? Papers.
You know, business papers.
And what kind of business are you in?
I'm unemployed.
That's my guy.
You could be unemployed and still have business papers.
Oh, trust me, I know plenty of people.
Yeah, believe me.
I know dozens of people like that.
Well, I mean, look, you could be unemployed and have investments, and those could be your portfolio readouts or something.
Ira, you've convinced me. You didn't have to convince me.
I'm just saying.
I'm with you.
Oh, man. Oh, good old Lebowski.
Good old Lebowski. So, big night in college hoops outside of the Memphis game as well.
Let me tell you, I did watch more college basketball last night than I have in ages. I caught like 4 or 5 minutes of the Duke game as they lost to Virginia Tech at Tech. Virginia Tech has a guy named Blackshear. Last name is Blackshear. I feel like either it's the same guy that's been there for like 12 years or it's another guy named Blackshear. That's just weird.
Louisville had a Blackshear.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
And I thought the same thing is, did he transfer out after Patino went down in flames? Or is it a different guy? And the truth is, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I got two things to say about the Duke game.
Oh, sure.
First, I feel like, if Duke's on TV with Zion, I want to watch it. I want to say must-watch TV, but it's close. Without Zion there, I really had no care in the world to watch it.
Well, you know what they say.
What do they say, Ira?
About Duke is Duke?
They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns.
Exactly. So take it for what it's worth.
And Virginia Tech should not get as much credit for beating Duke without Zion as they should with Zion. Like, I know...
Yeah, they committee takes that into account, but...
Do they?
Yeah, they do, but Virginia Tech looks like they're solidly in, so...
Oh, yeah, they're ranked.
It doesn't matter. I also caught a couple minutes at the end of the Arkansas-Kentucky game.
Kentucky.
And Kentucky won at the end. It was excuse me. From what I saw, it was a close game. And the kid from Kentucky, Tyler Hero, he's their white guy. He was at the free throw line at the end to try and ice the game. And the Arkansas players must have been talking smack because he was like talking smack back with him. And he's like one of the best free throw shooters in the country. And the referee like comes by and is like, "Oh, you boys, knock it off." And he hits a free throw and he's looking over at the Arkansas guy going, I'm the man. And you could read his lips. It was pretty funny. Then Kentucky did end up winning. So,
Did Calipari look happy?
No, not at all.
Shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers. Double OT victory over the Wisconsin Badgers.
It's true. 75-73. Good job, Indiana. They're struggling this year, though, now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible.
You know who else looked like they were not having a good time? Is long-time, perennial, I don't even want to call him an assistant because I don't even know what he does, Robick.
Where is he? Oh, in Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, we know how successful or unsuccessful Kentucky assistants have been, Calipari's assistants have been.
Unsuccessful.
And we know why, because it's been well documented that Calipari doesn't let them do anything. He runs the practices. Yeah. He does everything.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes you a good coach, so they're just not prepared. But I wonder what Robick, I mean, what can that guy do? He's like a Calipari's fifth appendage.
He's probably an administrative assistant. He probably sets up
but he seems
payments to recruits.
But he seems to be offering basketball advice like during a game.
Well, I think he does do the scout. I think he's a scout. He's probably like a really high level scout.
I will say this: if in fact, one of the assistants of the Tiger basketball team leaves at the end of this year, whatever, let's say Mike Miller.
Let's say Sam Mitchell decides to go do something else.
I would say Penny Hardaway should make a run at Tony Barbee.
I thought that Daily Memphy already announced to be LeBron.
Yeah, if LeBron passes on the opportunity.
Touche.
If LeBron passes on the opportunity and Phil Jackson has no interest, and you can't get Justin Timberlake.
Or Larry Brown.
Right. Then maybe. Speaking of former
What do
Tigers.
you think about that, though? Good idea?
No. What does Tony Barbee give you?
Well, Tony Barbee could come in. First of all, we know he can recruit Memphis, which we know Penny can do as well.
Are they having a problem there?
No, but we know he's a good recruiter. We know he knows a lot about basketball, and I think he'd be a good addition.
No. I like. Well, it's hard for me to criticize anything after wins. That's how I go.
Okay, you want Fran Dunphy? He could be like our Pete Carroll.
I think an old head. If it depends on who you're replacing. To your point, so if it's who did you say was going to leave?
I'll take Dunphy for Mitchell.
Yeah, if you lose your old head,
Mike Miller, I'd go with Barbee.
Oh, if it's Mike Miller, yeah, you're going to want a recruiter. Then yeah, maybe Barbee. Okay. Speaking of former Tiger assistants, let's just check in real quick on Josh Pastner, former head coach and assistant, currently 12-16 at Georgia Tech, 4-11 in the ACC, and then Ira, the High Point Panthers. 15-3, 8-6.
Yeah, I was just trying to show you that. I was looking them up earlier.
Of course, the only thing that matters for them is the conference tournament. I'll be paying attention to that. How fun would that be if Tubby's playing for a bid? That'd be great.
I can tell you they will not be.
How do you know?
Well, because for one thing, Radford's good.
They've lost 3 games in the league.
Okay.
The Campbell Fighting Camels have lost 4 games in the league.
They are really good. They got a guy who scores a ton of points.
The Fighting Camels?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that last
Winthrop, coached by Greg Marshall. They're good.
Winthrop? Or Winthorpe?
Winthrop.
Oh, sure. Like he went to Harvard.
He's wearing my Harvard tie. I like that. I like it when he goes to the club and he sees all his friends. His fiance's already shacked up with Todd.
Right.
Who's smoking a pipe with a V-neck, with the collar flipped up and the V-neck sleeveless sweater vest, and he's like, "I want to count on my friends to give me a loan." Lewis, I think I speak for everyone here. It's in very poor taste you show up here today.
Man, Lewis fell hard fast. You almost felt bad for him.
No, not really.
No, you didn't, but you almost did.
Yeah.
I mean, she was with his friend.
That part I felt bad about.
That's my point. Folks, we got a show here. We got one more segment. I may or may not be here. You're listening to the Ion Sports with B-Ball Jones on AM 1600, AM 730, YouTube Live. We'll be right back.
Get your sea shined up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff, pull it out. The taste is gonna move you when you pop it in your mouth. Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. The juice is soft, it gets right to ya.
Wages for jerk-offs who don't know how to navigate the city they've lived in their entire lives.
Hey everybody, the Ion Sports here to tell you about Advatech. Advatech is a local IT company that manages your business's computer network and technology. It makes sure your network is secure to prevent any type of security breach which could possibly compromise your company's information or your customers' information. Advatech is a one-stop shop for any computer problems. No need to waste valuable time on calling tech support. One call, they will handle everything for you. Advatech can also help you save on average $500 a month on your office phones and internet costs by doing a vendor cost analysis for their customers. If you own a business and are tired of frustrating computer issues, call Advatech. Advatech, we are your IT department. Call 901-262-7925 or email support@advatech.com. ADVATEK, Advatech, 262-7925.
Good question. I think
Justin G still works for him.
Really?
Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Katzman still works there.
Have you or any of your friends ever seen a spook specter approach? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Call the professionals.
Yeah.
Ghost Hunter. Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural illumination needs.
I mean, no.
We're ready to believe
We
you.
choked up now.
I have a very honest golf instructor. This is
That'll work
Sheldon
for you,
Rosengarten
asshole.
with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. My instructor is Marty Fulton, a
That what you mean,
PGA Life
or like-
member whom you may remember from Plantation, Whispering Woods, or Holiday Golf Club. When I asked him what I might do to improve my game, Marty, what did you tell me?
Sheldon, I told you to get your clubs
You know, a
together,
lot of guys
put them
don't
in
want
your
to have
car, then
responsibility.
take them to the nearest
Be in
lake
charge of the
and
business.
toss them in.
Great, Marty, you're a big help.
I think
Sheldon, you're far better at selling homes than you'll ever be at golf. That's why people often say when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
Thanks, Marty. And if you or someone you know is thinking about selling their home, you should talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out the difference in what they do in my highly successful strategic
Probably is
marketing
that better
program,
ass hand
the
right
Shellbucks option. You or they can reach me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now.
Do it now, Sheldon. Dun dun dun. What happened? Really?
Yeah, it's just low. Let's go for it.
Hey, do you hear me? Yeah, there we go. Hey. Just think. I'll do my best not to cough you out of the show.
Thank you.
You know, the worst part about getting a cold is like the 2 or 3 days before it actually hits, that you know it's coming, but there's really not much you can do. Like you start coughing a little bit more every day, you start to get a little bit more congested. You wake up with a bunch of schmutz in your beard, your mustache, and then you're like, oh man, here it comes. But you just can't really stop the train in time. That's the worst. Mark, let me ask you this. Hopefully you saw that Arenado, was it Nelson Arenado?
Nolan Arenado.
I knew it was in something. Nolan Arenado signed a $260 million deal for 8 years, worth about over $30 million a year with the Colorado Rockies. One thing I'll never understand, and you can tell me this, if he's worth it or not, but with the Rockies, offensively, they can find more guys to hit balls out of their park.
Yeah, but it's not that easy. I mean, that's kind of the thing.
It's not easy, but
it's. I mean, he's one of the best players and top 5 players probably in the major leagues, and it just helps that he plays in Coors Field as well. So I think he's worth the money. When you have a guy that can be your franchise, stud for, I guess, the next 8 or 9 years, especially nowadays, it's not a big deal for them to pay him $31 million a year.
Okay. Bryce Harper, still unsigned. There's been reports that Phillies offered him over $300 million. Some teams want him on a short-term deal. Any word in your neck of the woods on where he's going to go?
No, I mean, they said the Dodgers are back in the talks. What that means, no one really knows. But it still is probably looking like Philadelphia. If he signs that massive 9 to 10 year deal, I think it's going to be with Philadelphia. If he ends up going a year or 2 or a 3-year deal with somebody else, there could be some dark horse. But I think he wants the 9 to 10 year deal.
Do you know anybody that was West Philadelphia born and raised?
Maybe one guy.
Who?
You don't know.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I mean, he's from Philadelphia. I don't know what part. I'm not a big geography guy / know the inner and outer.
Excuse me, Mark.
Or the Rocky Stairs. That's about all I know.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
I know we're getting a little Fresh Prince.
With the playground where I spend most of my days.
So I have a question for you. I was looking at, is Elliott Williams, who's the better college player, Elliott Williams or Jeremiah Martin?
was the better college basketball player overall?
Yeah.
Career? I mean,
No. I'm talking about skill. If you could take one to play whatever a season, their senior season or last season, who would you choose?
well, based on their senior season, I think Jeremiah Martin. I don't know why. What do the statistics tell you?
Well, my thing is I think Jeremiah's better than Elliott Williams, and Elliott Williams got drafted 22nd overall. So when people are like, Jeremiah Martin might not even be drafted, I'm like, he won Player of the Month, I believe, like National Player of the Month.
Okay.
The Player of the Week, sorry.
Just remembering as best I can Elliott Williams' skill set and his abilities, I still think he was a better prospect than Martin.
Yeah, but I don't.
This happens all the time. All the time in college basketball, you see a guy who's a junior or senior who finally gets it all together at one time in 1 year, and he really appears to be fantastic. And they start talking about him in terms of the NBA, and there's no real excitement there because they don't think he'll translate. I mean, Mateen Cleaves, you remember him?
Yeah.
He was the talk of the town. He was in National Player of the Year. Excuse me, I believe he got drafted either at the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round, and no one really even thought that was a realistic shot for him to have a real NBA career. And those NBA guys, they know what it takes.
But I think it's different, right? Because, there's plenty of Jimmer Fredette's, guys like that tore it up in college, but, are too slow or too small, something like that in the NBA.
Okay.
When you look at Jeremiah Martin's game, to me, he can get to the rim, he can score from three, he can play some defense. He's not an undersized shooting guard. He's not a tall shooting guard.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you go from high school to college, okay, you have skills in high school. And the number, let's say there's 353 Division I teams in college basketball times 14, 15 players is what? 4,000 something? Does that sound right? Okay. Well, you take 400, you take 45,000 and you whittle it down to 4,500. So even guys who are ranked in the top 100, 150, like Tyler Harris, whatever, who appear to be unstoppable at the high school level, they can get to the basket, they're fast, they can shoot, they can score. There's things that you have to account for when you go up to the next level. Same thing in college when you go to the pros. You're whittling it down by 90%. Only the top tier guys make it. So you may have been counting on Tyler Harris to be able to score at the level he did in high school, but now we're finding out that it's not, strength, size, quickness, etc. It's an even playing field. He's not, he still might become great, but right now he's not as great as you thought he was going to be.
No, I get that, but when it comes to Jeremiah Martin, do you really think that he's not a top 60 player in the college basketball?
That I couldn't take. I don't know who the other 60 are.
Right.
But does he seem like he'd be fast enough to play in the NBA? No. Now, are there guys who are also not really fast enough to play in the NBA who did play in the NBA and were successful? Sure. Okay. They were able to adapt their games in certain ways to make them effective. I don't disagree that he could be one of those guys. And like I said, I don't know that he won't get drafted. I just don't find it likely. First of all, do you view Jeremiah Martin as an NBA point guard?
No.
Okay. There's problem number one. If you view him as an NBA 2, the average size of a 2 is like 6'7".
No, but it's not.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
The 6'7" shooting guard.
Okay, hold on.
I'm telling you,
who'd the Grizz play the other night? Not the
Lakers.
No, not the Lakers. Before that. No. I'm sorry. It was the Lakers. The Lakers' smallest guy that they started was 6'6".
Okay. But like that, it's 6'3".
Reggie Bullock is 6'7", and he was their shooting guard.
Right, and he didn't even do that well. Like, he's not that great. But, like, there's other guys like Avery Bradley, who's been around the league. He's a 6'3", 6'4" shooting guard. Like, you know, Klay Thompson's 6'6", 6'7". Like, you don't have to be a 6'7" guy to play shooting guard. I think you have to be able to score the ball and play some defense. Like, it's like a small forward, I would say yes. Like, small forwards have to be minimum 6'6", 6'7". Minimum.
Oh, you know, I don't know. I'd have to do a little research. Let's see. Shooting guard for Toronto Raptors. For the Atlanta Hawks. Here's a guard forward by the name of Vince Carter. He's 6'6". Guard forward for the Atlanta Hawks, Kevin Huerto, 6'7". Yeah.
Bradley Beal 6'5". I'm just saying 6'5" and 6'3" is not a huge difference. That's what I'm getting at. Like,
excuse me. No, it's not a huge difference. You're right. 6'3", you know, okay, so fine. Let's just say the height is not an issue. Is he quick enough? Is he fast enough? Can he shoot well enough? I mean, there's just a lot of factors. I mean, I'm just going by, you know, watching a team, an NBA team play, and then watching, you know what? I'm taking it all back. Based on some of the crep block that I've seen in the NBA this year, Jeremiah Martin could play for somebody. Could he play shooting guard for a team that's trying to tank? Yeah, sure. He could come off the bench for a team that's trying to, you know, a team that's trying to rebuild, a young team. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a starter.
No, I'm not saying he's a starter either, but, you know, if you're going to get in the NBA and you want to hope for the best. So, yeah, I guess it's possible. I'm not going to discount it. I think he'd almost be better off not getting drafted. That way you can go to the camp, you can go to summer league, play well at summer league, and then kind of go, you know, take your chance with multiple teams.
Right.
See if they bring you in.
Where he goes.
Yeah. All right, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go have some hot tea with lemon, and hopefully I'll feel a little bit better tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. It's the Ion Sports with B-Ball Jones, the True Guru. I'm out of here. Adios, muchacho.
I bring that up since we didn't really have much to talk about. So.
No, it's a good idea.
Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation AM.
Let me ask you this. What's the worst look for the NFL right now with regards to Robert Kraft?